Hey everybody, it's Dave from Clean Pro Supply, and we're going to talk about job quoting. This is going to be for pretty much any job that's going to take a day or two to complete. We're going to use an analogy on an epoxy floor, just because that's the most common question that we get. How do I price this epoxy floor? I'm not going to speak to a specific system. We're just going to use some general numbers and kind of piece it all together. So if you're a new business owner or you need help quoting a job that you've never done before and you want to see how to approach it, this is where all the math is going to come from. So just getting started, most new contractors, you're going to go around and maybe shop your competition, ask other people, what's a normal price for this type of floor per square foot? That's a decent starting point just to have a rough ballpark. But once you start doing some jobs, as long as you're making money, you can start to fine tune your system and your process. If you find you're not making money, then you're going to figure out why by going through this math. Just because someone else is charging a certain rate per square foot doesn't mean you're going to make good money charging the same rate. Maybe your overhead is higher, maybe your overhead is lower. It all depends on your scenario. So we're going to start over here with the overhead, which are your fixed assets. What that means is whether you're working or not, you're always going to have these fees or expenses coming out of your business checking account. If you have rent, I just took a rough ballpark for a small contractor business, maybe $500 a month. Could be more, could be less, it just depends on your situation, but obviously these are all gonna be theoretical numbers just to show you the process of the math. But let's say you're paying $500 a month in rent and maybe utilities as well. You have insurance, and this is your liability insurance, not labor, not workers' comp, just your business liability insurance, $1,000 a month. That's gonna vary depending on the industry you're in. Some contractors are gonna be much, much higher. Some are gonna be actually much lower, but make sure you have insurance. You definitely need insurance as a business owner. Marketing, this is going to be anything from social, digital, online, offline, print, postcards, whatever you're doing for marketing. You could do TV commercials, you could do billboards, whatever is in your marketing budget. Just assume that's going to be a good chunk of your income, because without marketing, you're not going to continue to get business. So you need to budget for the marketing so that way you're continuing to get leads to continue to get jobs. So this rough number is going to be $4,500 a month. If you have an auto loan, this is where there's a little bit of a debate. Technically, an auto loan payment is not an expense because you're paying for an asset and that was already depreciated. So accounting aside, I focus on your cash out per month. This is kind of like part of my cash budget. It's not on the accounting P&L statement as far as your auto loan payment, but it does affect your cash in and out every month. So I want to factor that into my fixed expenses. Website maintenance, building, whatever, SEO, search engine optimization, pretty much everything that is required to run a business. This is kind of bare bones. There's always going to be a lot more than this, but if you add these up, you're going to get a rough ballpark of $7,800 per month. Or if you divide that by 21 working days in a month, if you just count Monday through Friday, your daily nut is basically $371 per day. This is if you're not working. These are expenses you're paying out every month, every week, every day, whatever, maybe quarterly, maybe annually. But just assume that with these rough numbers, in this example, you're going to be paying $371 per day just to operate your business. Now we're moving over to the actual job. You know that when you drive to and from job sites, you have fuel. We're going to budget about $500 a month in fuel. This is going to be an example of maybe a two-person crew running one truck. So $500 a month in fuel, equipment. You can factor kind of like an auto loan, but maybe you have concrete grinders or scarifiers or polishing equipment or whatever you have. $500 a month for that equipment. You also have income taxes. I'm ballparking $5,000 a month. This is based on $300,000 of income per year for this truck, because an average two-man crew should be pulling in around $300,000 per year. Obviously, there's going to be some variables, but with that assumption, we're going to figure about $5,000 per month in income taxes. Switching to labor, if you have each person on that truck making $25 an hour, that's going to be roughly $1,000 a week, $4,300 a month. And then of that, you have workers' comp, usually 15%. Again, some industries are lower, some industries are higher. It depends on the risk involved with what you're doing as a business, but 15% for concrete work is pretty fair. Based on my experience. So $645 a month on that. And again, this is per employee. And then we have payroll taxes, $860 per month which drops to about $40 per day. And again, per employee. So adding this all up, each employee is going to cost you as a business owner, if you're paying them $25 an hour, it's going to cost you as a business owner $276 per day. Again, this is without making any profit. This is just the overhead of your employee. Taxes, fuel, and equipment, about $285 per day. Again, breaking even. So what does this all mean? You take your fixed expenses, you take your labor, you take your taxes and fuel and all these other variable expenses, and you add them up. We have $371 from here. We have $285 from your taxes and fuel and equipment. And then we have 2 employees times $276 per day. That's $552 per day. So with 2 employees on a truck with these numbers as examples, your break-even point per day is $1,208, $1,208 in income that you need to bring in just to cover your overhead. Now, if you're an owner-operator working with 1 employee, and maybe you're paying yourself $50 an hour and your employee is making $25 an hour, then you can just add an additional $276 because everything else carries with it. Now you're at about $1,500 per day. On the flip side, maybe you've got 2 crews out in the field. So 2 trucks, 4 guys, and you're managing them. You're not on the actual job, but you want to factor in maybe $25 an hour for yourself per crew per day. Then same thing, you can be at that $1,500. That way you're covering your 2 employees on the truck, plus a little bit extra for yourself. And that way you're making money with 2 crews on the road, or 1 crew, including yourself. It still comes to the same number. We're gonna carry this down for 1 job. So we've got $1,500 a day in expenses. Say we have a garage or a floor that's gonna take a day and a half to complete. Maybe you come in, you do all your grinding, patchwork, base coat, say it's flake or some other system, day 1, then you come back day 2 and just finish it, and it's a half a day. So $1,500 times 1.5 is $2,250. That's your fixed, but not your fixed. It's your expense overhead to complete that job. And theoretically speaking, let's say it's going to cost you $2,000 in material to complete that job. Without making money, you need to make sure you're charging at least $4,250 for that job. If you want to make a 20% income to the business, you divide that by 0.8, because 1 minus 0.2, 0.2 is 20%, 1 minus 0.2 is 0.8, and then that gives you $5,312.50. So if you want to make 20% on that job, this is what you need to charge for that job with all these overhead numbers and material costs. If you want to make 35%, just as another example, you're going to take your overhead of that job, divide it by 0.65, because the remainder of that is 35%. You need to charge $6,538.46 for that job. What does that equate to per square foot? Well, I'm not really sure where. I think we calculated around 600 square feet. Let's do the math real quick. We have 6,538.46 divided by 817. Yeah, so for this example, actually it was 800 square feet. So let's say 800 square foot job with this much material, you need to charge $8.17 per foot to make that much money, to make 35%, and then cover all your other overhead. So of course, if your material cost is higher, you need to increase this. If your material cost is lower, you can decrease this. But if you're doing jobs over and over and over again, you're wondering, where is all my cash going out of my bank account? I thought I covered my labor, and I thought I covered a couple of these other expenses. Well, maybe I forgot about SEO. Maybe I forgot about income tax. Maybe I forgot about payroll tax. Maybe I forgot about fuel. So as you're doing your budget, you have to make sure you add all these items in there, because if you're not making money, you're gonna have to charge more so you are making money. And that way, that's how you live as a business. Now, sometimes you'll get customers saying, geez, that's a lot of money for that floor. You're making really good money, man. You make more than my lawyer. Well, I don't make more than your lawyer. The business does, but I have a lot of overhead, and people don't think about that. So when you're charging customers, you're giving a price. If they ask for a breakdown, it's up to you if you want to give them that breakdown. Typically, I don't, because they don't need to know all your numbers. But if you want to give them some information, just say, well, you know, your lawyer may be making all that money, but don't they have to pay for an office that's maybe a $5 million office? Where's that money coming from? The lawyer also is not taking home $400 per hour. that's billed to the business as income, not their personal salary. So just to shed some light as far as where the numbers come from, you have your fixed expenses, you have your variable expenses, you've got your material cost, and then you've got your profit for the business. Now, of course, your salary is up here, and then down here is your profit for the business. So if you have any other questions beyond that, feel free to reach out anytime. I'm happy to help. I coach contractors all the time on bidding jobs. We can talk about your numbers specifically. Just give me your numbers for these fixed expenses. Let me know what your employees are making per hour. Let me know what state you're in. We can factor workers' comp, we can factor taxes, all kinds of stuff. And I can help you come up with a square foot pricing based on the size of the floor and based on the floor you're doing and all your extra overhead. Any more questions beyond that, comment on the video below or give me a call here at the store and I'm happy to help. Take care.